Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Yin. I'm Trish, and we're going to do a nice hip opening practice this evening. So we're going to be on the floor the whole time. If you want, you can put your favorite relaxing music on. Grab your strap, have that very close to you, and that's the only prop we will be using this evening. Okay, so tonight we're going to be on the floor. So start to roll down onto your back, and then from here, just widen out across the hips. Inhale as you exhale, hug your knees in towards the chest, and just gently rock yourself from side to side. So we're just getting a nice massage out through the back, especially if you've been sitting for long periods of time during the day. And then from here, roll the shoulders down away from the ears, and then lengthen the spine, and then starting to roll your chin in towards your throat, and then rolling up, let's start to roll the nose in towards the knee. So maybe starting to feel a little stretch through the back of the neck, top of the shoulders, maybe through the back. Breathing in, yeah, and as you exhale, squeeze a little bit more, and then on the next inhale, lengthening shoulders, neck, and head back down. Okay, and then let's rock a little bit from side to side again, and let's bring our awareness into our hip crease. So we're going to breathe into that hip crease, so that line from hip to hip, and then as you exhale, just softening and releasing, maybe hugging the knees and thighs a little bit closer in. Breathing into the lower back, and as you exhale, melting through the hips, hug the knees and thighs a little bit closer in, relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears. Notice if your shoulders are crunching. And just softening through, continuing to soften through the hips, softening through the face. As you soften through the hips, maybe feeling your lower back and hips melting back to the ground. So if everything's a bit tight, you might look like this, so you might roll without pushing it. You can just maybe start to feel it lengthening back down. And from here, let's widen out across the four corners of your back, widening out through the hips and collarbones. Inhale, and as you exhale, just softening through the hips again, hugging the knees in, maybe starting to lengthen your tailbone down towards the long end of the mat. One more breath like this. So with the inhale, we're expanding, widening out, and as we exhale, we're lengthening. All right, and maybe just notice if your tailbone's rolled tucked under, just roll your tailbone back towards the floor, so maybe feel a little stretch there. Okay, and then just release, rock from side to side, and then draw a few circles with the knees in one direction, and then gently back the other way. Take the knees apart, circle them in opposite directions, and then gently back the other way. Okay. From here, just bring the feet down and then just gently drop the knees from side to side. So very quick little mobilization. And so tonight we'll be doing some long holds and some mobilizations in between. And then just extend your legs out and shake them out in the hip sockets, windscreen wipers with the feet. Just breathing into the hips. Just take a few moments here. Just check in with the body. And just notice how you're feeling. It's always good to come back into neutral and just have that moment to check in with yourself. All right. And then when you're ready, we're going to take the right leg and we're going to inhale, and as we exhale, hugging that right knee in towards the chest. And then from here, let's just take a few breaths. So breathing in, and as you exhale, just softening through that hip on that right side. So I'm going to do the same side as you guys tonight for the in. And so you're feeling that little squeeze, continuing to feel that squeeze through the hip flexors on your right side. Maybe on one, when we just do one leg, it might feel different to when you have both hugged in. You might start to feel an opening through the hip on your left side. Maybe starting, if you want a little bit more, you can maybe engage that straight leg by flexing your foot. Pushing out through the heel, drawing the toes back towards you. And then notice sometimes your right hip might come a little bit higher, so squaring the hips. As you exhale, keep softening, maybe hugging that knee and thigh a little bit closer in. And then the option here for deepening with the breath. So you can use your hands to engage, to bind your knee. And with the in-breath, you're pushing your knee out against the hands. So you shouldn't be able to see a movement, so I'll just exaggerate the movement, but basically you're sort of doing this with your knee, but your hands are preventing your leg from moving. So when you do that, you're engaging into your hip flexors with the contraction, with the in-breath, and with the out-breath, you're just relaxing and releasing, and that might allow you to come a little bit deeper and be able to hug that knee a little bit closer in towards the belly. So softening with the exhale. One more breath. On the inhalation, contraction, and then exhale, soften and release. Okay, and from here, let's just release, mobilize the hips, circling that knee a few times. So as you circle the knee, thinking about quality of movement rather than how many circles we're doing, and really feel that you are widening out through your hip crease, so there's space in that hip socket, and then feeling that thigh bone is nice and secure in its hip. Okay, bring the knee back to center, and then now let's grab our strap. From here, we're going to hook the strap either over the arch of the ball of your foot, and then inhale, and as you exhale, just starting to extend the heel up towards the sky. So don't overextend it, but think about where your heel is stacked over your hip. So bend your knee a little bit if you need to, and then creating enough length with your strap or your rope so your arms can be relaxed and keeping the shoulders relaxed. So widening out across the hips and widening out across the back. And then from here, just start to feel the weight of your hip in its socket. And just breathing into it. And then from here, once again, visualizing that you're really feeling that head of the big thigh bone in its socket, but at the same time, creating space in that hip joint. And then from here, just gently starting to come into a little bit of somatic movement. So maybe starting to open that leg out to the side. And as we open the leg out to the side, you might feel a little bit more stretching on the inside of the leg. Maybe starting to wind inwards as you start to take the leg across the body slightly, and that hip is still on the ground, and maybe starting to feel like a little opening on the outside of the leg. So when we are working with our long holds, we don't want to be going to the very edge of your stretch and we can come to the edge, but make sure we're pendulating. So it's like you come to the edge and you go, oh, that's a nice stretch. And then you release and come back to the center rather than holding it there too long. Otherwise, you find the first little points of resistance, and then just gently breathing into them as you exhale, softening. Sending a message from the body to the mind, just to soften and release. Just stacking the heel over the hip and just opening up through the back of the leg from your hamstring, opening up through the back of the knee. And then opening up through the calves, the Achilles, the soles of the feet. Breathing into it. From here, it's comfortable. You can start to, rather than keeping it stacked, you can just release it a little bit and straighten the leg. So you really, if your hamstring is tight, so if you're here with your knee bent, then maybe bring the leg down a little bit, give yourself a little bit more slack on your scarf or your rope, and just feeling that opening up. So you're opening the hamstring and opening the skin at the back of the knee. Maybe suck your knee up into the thigh, so we're not pushing into the knee joint, and then opening up through the calf and Achilles and sole of the feet as we draw the toes back towards you. So if you're a little bit more flexible, maybe starting to bring that foot closer in. But once again, we don't want to come to the very edge of our stretch. We're just coming and just finding those first little points of resistance where it might feel a little bit tight. Maybe breathing into it, maybe some very gentle movements, just help to release. Keep deepening the breath. Widening out through the hips. Okay, from here, let's just gently slide that strap down a little bit, and you can bend your knee as well. And we're just going to get into the ankle and the foot. So we stand up all day, all our blood and energy and our weight is on our feet. And our blood and energy is flowing to our feet, and all our weight is on the feet. So really just starting to allow the blood and energy to flow back, but starting to make some circles with that ankle a few times. Just breathing into the ankle, into the foot, and just trying to create space between all those little bones, and then circling it back the other way, exploring that range of motion. So as you draw those circles, maybe draw a little figure eight, you might go, oh, there's a certain angle here that actually feels a little bit tight. So maybe just exploring that, maybe opening up through the toes as well, wiggling the toes. Breathing into it, creating space. So once you've explored a little bit of motion, and just find those angles that feel good, that feel tight. Okay, from here, we're going to bend the knee, come back onto the arch of your foot. And, oh, sorry, I lied. We might need another prop. So from here, if you have a cushion or a block in reach, grab that and bring that next to your hip. Otherwise, you can use your hand. Okay. Sorry, guys. I forgot. We do need a prop tonight besides the strap. Okay. So you don't always have everything close by. Sorry, guys. Okay. So we're all back in the position now. We're going to grab our block or the cushion and just bring it next to your hip. So you can have it on its lower end or its higher end. And then from here, start to widen out across your hip crease. Feel that thigh bone really nice and grounded in its socket. Now start to squeeze your glutes on the right side. As you start to squeeze the glutes on the right side, you'll feel that muscle contraction starting to externally rotate your hip because your toes are pointing out. Okay, and then keep that squeezing and imagine now that your leg is like a rope and we're winding it outwards. As you wind it outwards, allow your leg to come out to the side. So it's the muscles are really supporting that movement. Okay, from here, grab your block and just place it underneath to give you a little bit of support wherever you're at. So you could have it closer in towards the hip if you want, if your leg's a bit higher. Release the strap a little bit if you need to, so wherever it's comfortable. Okay, so we're using that winding action to bring the leg out to the side. Relax the shoulders and bring your other hand onto your left hip. And just to counterbalance, and notice your hips might want to roll across to the right. And so keep squeezing the glutes on that right side. And so we're feeling that opening up through the inside of the right leg. And as we contract one side, the other side opens. So when we're contracting the outside of that leg, you feel that inside opening. And just breathing into it. And just listening to your body. So at any time, feel free to come out of pose. Otherwise, if you need to shake it out or you're getting a cramp, otherwise just release a little bit. So once again, don't come to the full point of your extension and try to melt into it. Let's open a little bit. Maybe you can pull that foot a little bit closer up towards your face, keeping the hips square towards the sky. So keep rolling that left hip back towards the floor. Other hand can be up by the shoulder to counterbalance, or you can have it on your hip. Okay, one breath here. And then from here, so really conscious movement, keeping that hip crease wide. Big thigh bone is in its socket. And then we're going to contract the inside of your leg as you contract the inside of your leg to bring it back up. Okay, release your strap. And then as you exhale, just hug that knee back in. And gently rock a little bit from side to side. And then just circling the knee a few times in one direction. And then back the other way. Okay. From here, we're going to keep that hip on the floor. And then just inhale as you exhale, hug the knee back in towards the chest in line with your shoulder. Now, we're going to keep that right hip on the ground. And we're going to inhale, take the knee out away from you. As you exhale, widening out across the hip crease. And this time we want to start to squeeze the inner thigh and feel that internal rotation. So we're winding the thigh inwards now as you keep your right hip on the ground and keep winding it all the way down. So you're winding all the way down internally towards the midline of your body. And you're going to exhale, hug that knee in towards the belly, but you're drawing the knee towards your left shoulder. So it's kind of looking diagonal across the body. So stay in your pose. I'm just going to come up so you can see what I mean. So yeah. So from here, we had, imagine that's the floor behind me. We were like this and we're taking it out. And as you exhale, you're using that internal rotation to bring that knee across. So that knee is sort of in line with your chest. And the more that you do that internal rotation, you'll find that this other foot starts to come up a little bit more. Okay, so so you're lying on the ground and you're hugging that knee in, which I just stood up so that in case you can't see in the 2D variation. And then so keep widening out across the hip as you inhale, and as you exhale, just softening through the inside of that right thigh. Just breathing into it. And So you might feel that it's very subtle, this one. You feel it in the thigh, you might feel it through the groin. And so keeping that knee, trying to wind that knee in towards the midline of your chest. If that knee can stay there, if you want a little bit more, you can maybe start to bend the other knee. So we're stacking knee on knee, and you can maybe hold on to the knees, or you can maybe hold on to your shins and hug them in. You can hug both knees in, so you can keep one leg extended, or just and keep melting that thigh in towards the belly. If you have your second leg up, you can either hug both knees in, or maybe slide the hands out a little bit more, and you're trying to separate the knees a little bit away from each other. So you can just stay with the one leg, Diane. It's like a twisted roots. So it's quite deep, but I can't see Catherine, but I assume that you're probably taking this option, but I'm not sure. Okay, so from here, we're going to release that bottom leg now, if you've got that bound. And then this top leg, the right leg, we're just going to gently circle it a few times. So once again, we want to feel there's that space in the hip socket, that thigh bone is really nice and secure. Movement, and then back the other way. Okay, and then from here, we're going to hug that knee in again towards, so it's in line with the shoulder. So just coming back to the neutral, and we're going to inhale, bring that knee out. As you exhale, now you're going to hug it in towards your armpit. We're just changing the angle a little bit. And once again, roll your left hip back to the ground. So notice how your body might want to roll a little bit to that right side. So we just want to square those hips up. Keep breathing into it. As you exhale and soften, you might be able to hug that knee a little bit closer in towards the armpit. Also notice sometimes that right hip might lift a little bit, so keeping the hips level. And closing down your eyes, just breathing into it. Okay, let's come into half happy baby. We're going to slide the hand now, instead of on top of the knee, underneath the knee. And then from here, keep squeezing the glute to bring that hip out to the side. And then maybe starting to wind your leg and bringing your foot up towards the sky, like as if you were to walk on the sky. Now you can keep your hand underneath your knee, or maybe bring it to the calf, or maybe your ankle, the outside edge of your foot. And then from here, just gently rocking from side to side in your half happy baby pose. And just breathing into that right hip, keeping the face and the shoulders nice and relaxed. Just rocking the foot side to side, up and down. Okay, now we're going to bring this leg across now. And so once again, with the movement of the hip, squeezing the glutes, so you can feel that knee coming out, and then keep winding it across. And then now holding onto the outside edge of your right foot with your left hand, and holding onto the knee. From here, just relax a little bit. So now we're using the contraction and the winding to move it, but when we just, from here, you can just gently mobilize. Just rocking a little bit from side to side, like you're rocking a baby. So you're holding onto the foot and the knee. And then as you rock from side to side, how are you getting that foot a little bit higher? So we shouldn't feel any crunching in the hips. Okay, let's come into pigeon. So from here, we're going to bend the left knee and then slide that foot up, and then keep that foot flexed and just bring it over the top. Now we're just feeling a nice little open through the hip. Maybe a little stretch through the glutes on the right side. And we're rocking from side to side, breathing in here. And softening with the exhale. So you might just want to relax here if you're getting a nice little release.
Okay, otherwise, if you want to open that hip a little bit more, we squeeze the glutes and we're going to start to wind outwards. So as we start to wind that leg outwards, you might be able to open that knee out to the side away from you a little bit further. And then if you're doing that, then flex, dorsal flex that top foot. So you are pushing out through the heel, pulling the toes back towards you. So that, I'm going to come this way, so that that top foot is really nice and active. Okay, if this feels like a deep stretch already, and if you're here and you're feeling a deep stretch, you can stay here. Otherwise, maybe coming a little bit deeper and grabbing your strap or no strap, we're going to now bring our right hand in between the legs, left hand onto the outside. So option one is grab your strap behind your knee. Option two is maybe you can hold on to your back of your knee. Option three, maybe holding onto the top of the knee. Let's roll the shoulders away from the ears, rolling up, nose to knee. My shoulders very tight tonight. And then lengthening shoulders, neck, and head back down. Okay, so from here, we should feel a really nice stretch through the glutes on that right side. I'm just going to hang out here and just breathe into it. Expanding with the breath. Whenever you're feeling the stretch, just breathing into that space. And as you exhale, just softening, releasing. And coming into some Brahman breaths here, if that helps. A deep, expansive inhale into wherever you're feeling the stretch. In the hips, the glutes, and then as you exhale, making a humming sound. As you inhale, flooding that space with fresh oxygen and energy, and as you exhale, continue to hum. And so really bringing that sound deep into your body. So it could be a loud hum, it could be very soft and barely audible, but the main thing is that you feel the vibration of the sound and starting to really move that sound into the body, down through the layers of the skin, down through the muscle, through the fascia, into the belly of the muscle. Wherever you're feeling the stretch, just bring that tension or tightness, bring that sound into it so you can use the vibration of sound to start to loosen up through all the tight particles. Keep softening the breath. Just check in with your body as well. Notice if you're holding tension through your face, through your shoulders, through your jaw, wherever you're holding tension, try to soften and release. Shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. If your tailbone's rolled under, if it has, maybe roll the tailbone back towards the floor. If you want to deepen the stretch a little bit. Keep softening the breath. Take a few more nice, deep, beautiful breaths here. Ready. And start to release. Bring that left foot back to the ground. And then from here, take your, if you need to, just release both legs and just give them a shake out for a moment before we come into our twist. And just take a couple of breaths and just check in, notice how you're feeling. One leg compared to the other leg. Ready. Wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes, stretch out, and then bring that right knee back in. Okay, from here, we're going to take the right hand out to the side, and I'm going to pop the hips across towards the right. Take hold of your knee with your left hand now. Inhale, and as you exhale, hug the belly in towards the spine, and then gently start to bring that knee across the body. So if you've got your block, you can pop your block underneath the knee to give a little bit of support. If you like, you can maybe extend that leg out as well. So it depends on your hamstring. So right, just get into your back. Otherwise, you can just keep that knee bent. So let's start with that right shoulder grounded. Eye gaze can be wherever it's comfortable. You can look towards the sky. You can look towards the same direction as your knee, or you can look up to your opposite hand. Keeping the spine nice and long. Lengthening through the inhale as you exhale, draw the belly in, and then just starting to soften. And starting to release from your lower back, middle back, upper back and shoulder. Just taking a couple of nice, deep, softening breaths. Keep your belly hugging to the spine. Keep the hip crease lifted. And now, depending on which side your head is facing, if you want to start to incorporate the winding action. So if you're facing the same direction as your knee in the open twist, then you're going to start to imagine that you are winding away from your spine, so you're winding outwards, okay, and coming into an open twist. And you should feel that winding action opening up through the back. If you're in a closed twist where you are looking to the opposite direction, if you're looking into your right hand, you're lengthening up, and then as you exhale, you're winding inwards towards the midline of your body in your closed twist. So you're winding down your spine. So lengthen up through the spine, and then from the crown of the head as you inhale, lengthening. As you exhale, maybe imagining that your spine is a spiral staircase. As you start to walk down that spiral staircase, it will enable you to deepen into your twist. So this is yogi's choice tonight, open twist or closed twist. So wherever your head is facing, if your head is facing the opposite direction to your knees, you're winding in towards the midline of your body. If you're facing the same direction as your knees, you're winding out away from the midline of your body. Deepening breath. And then when you feel like you can't go any deeper, maybe just, if you like, you can allow your right shoulder to lift, especially if your knee is bent, and then bring your right knee to a 90-degree angle. That right shoulder can just maybe lift off. You can turn your palm up, maybe bring your hand up above your head, or you can bring it onto your lower back. And then inhale, and as you exhale, you can slide your left hand up your thigh, and then inhale, and as you exhale, just kind of hug the belly and then give a little push diagonally with your right hand. So you're just giving yourself that little deep stretch. And then that top hand, that left hand, you feel like you're lifting up through the hip crease, you're pushing up through the hip crease, but you're winding that thigh in towards the midline of your body. So I'm going to come up, and I'm going to just come onto the other side just to show you. So stay where you are, but basically you're pushing with the back hand, and that top hand is winding your thigh inwards. You can turn your head to the center. If you're looking to the same direction, then just look as your knee, just look to the sky, or you can maybe turn the head the other way. You're just getting a little opening here. So you're just getting this nice little push, and then you're just feeling that winding action, winding in. And as you continue winding, I might want to stretch out that of the leg if it feels good. All right, and then so we're going to bring that knee all the way to the floor. You might feel a little adjustment to your lower back. And then bend the knee, belly hugs in. Very slowly inhale yourself back to center. Feet in the middle, hips in the middle. And then just gently hug your right knee in. Bring your left knee to join it and just gently rock yourself from side to side. Just massaging out through the back, just gently circling your knees a few times in one direction. And back the other way. Take the knees apart and circle them both in opposite directions. And back the other way. Okay, and from here, just gently drop the knees from one side to the other. And if you're ready, just extend the legs out. Give them a little shake out in the hip sockets and screen wipers with the feet. Relaxing the hands by the hips and then just come into Shavasana for a minute or so. Just taking some nice deep breaths here. Just checking in your body. Noticing any subtle changes. Just checking in with how you're feeling. Comparing how you feel on one side compared to the other side. You might feel some blood or energy flowing through the body. Warmth, coolness, tingling, rushing. Like that. Just breathing into it, and as you exhale, just let everything soften down. So it feels a little bit longer or more open than the other. And so just come back to that neutral position just to check in with yourself once again. And slowly start to bring movement back in, wriggling fingers and toes, and kind of movement, stretching out. And when you're ready, we're going to hug the other knee in. I'm going to turn back onto this side. So, and from here, just going to hug that left knee in, breathing into it. As you exhale, softening through the hip. You can flex the other foot, but hopefully that all feels very loose and relaxed in there. So ready, and keep widening out through the hip crease on that left side. As you exhale, just softening. Keep the shoulders, the face nice and relaxed. Breathe into the hip crease as you exhale. Breathing into any tension, and then the tension should be back. And then as you exhale, softening through the hip crease. Okay, option just to stay here and continue melting. Otherwise, we'll come into 3 active little breaths. So if you're working actively, you want to just keep the make sure that once again the hip crease is wide, that thigh bone is in its socket. And then we're just engaging as you inhale, you're squeezing and contracting the muscles as you push your knee out against the hands. The knees are the hands, are preventing your knee from actually moving. As you exhale, softening and releasing, maybe having that knee a little bit closer in. Inhale, pushing out, really contracting everything as tight as you can. And then as you exhale, softening more. Through the hips, through the quads, and then exhale, soften and release. Okay, from here, let's circle the knee a few times in one direction if you need to, and then back the other way. So the more that we do our mobilizations, the more synovial fluid, that WD-40 for the joints that our body produces. Okay, so this is a good thing to do regularly every day. All right, so from here, let's grab our strap. And we're going to pop that strap either on the ball of your foot or the arch of the foot. Inhale, and as you exhale, starting to lengthen up. So you can have a bend in the knee, and we just want to start with that stacked action where we feel that weight of the hip in its socket. Widening it across the hips, widening across the back, and then as you exhale, softening and just feeling the blood sinking in there. And then from here, maybe some just very slow movements. Down the eyes. Very slowly, and just making sure that that F2 stays on the ground. You can maybe start to play around, bringing that leg a little bit closer in towards the midline of the body and feeling that stretch out through the outside of the leg. And maybe just squeeze your glutes and taking it out a little bit, and then so don't keep the glutes really contracted, but when I say engage, it's just so that our movement is supported by the muscles rather than just moving our joints. And then once you find the position, you can start to relax it a little bit and just make some very somatic movements, some articulation if it feels good. Keep the face and the shoulders nice and relaxed. Opening up through the hamstring. If you're doing the hamstring, make sure that that foot comes back to center and it's quite square. Otherwise, you can get the hamstring on different angles as well because there's so many. But if you're pulling that leg up a little bit, so if you are playing with different angles, just make sure that you're doing it safely and it feels supported. Otherwise, keep it square, and then maybe starting to open up through the hamstring, the back of the knee, so starting to bring the leg to straight level, so you can bring the leg down a little bit. So if you're here and it's very tight, then just bring the leg down to a comfortable position. So just slide your hands up your, give yourself a little bit more space. So rather than holding your hands up high, you can slide them down and bring your leg a little bit lower down. And then really start to open up through the hamstrings, open up through the back of the knee, really opening up through the calf, the Achilles, sole of the foot, and just finding those little tight areas and just really breathing into them. So sometimes it does feel quite nice taking it from side to side, but if you're doing that, then you obviously going to make sure that your hip is nice and stable. We're not locking into the knee joint as well, so we are sucking the knee up into the thigh rather than pushing backwards into the knee. Okay, from here, let's slide that strap down onto the back of the knee or your hamstring, or even just bend your knee a little bit if you. And now let's get to the ankles. So, or you can have your foot down here. It doesn't matter wherever your foot is, but it's elevated above the heart. So and this whole time we're getting that inversion effect anyway. So we're allowing all the blood, and as our foot's in the air, we're allowing already all the blood and energy to flow back down the other way towards the heart. And then let's start to open up through the foot and the ankle. Starting to draw a few circles. Exploring the range of motion in the ankle, maybe some little figure eights, imagining the toes like a paintbrush. Just checking in with the body. So we're targeting the feet, but just notice like tonight I'm feeling that very much in my shins on my left side. So just noticing how the body feels. And just breathing into it. Try and create more space in between all those little bones in your feet, in your ankles, flex the toes. Right, to flex the foot, whatever feels good. Okay, from here, just bend the knee, you can shake the leg out for a moment. Take a breath or two here. Just check in with the body. And then when you're ready, you just gently roll the toes, roll the fingers, grab your block, bring your block to that left hip this time. And then from here, let's bend that left knee back in, looking onto the foot. Inhale, exhale, extend that foot back up. All right. So to open that leg out to the side, we don't want to just flop it down. We want to start to widen that hip crease, and then feeling that big thigh bone in its socket, nice and secure. Starting to squeeze the glutes. As you squeeze the glutes, starting to feel that imagine your leg is like a rope, you're winding it outwards. As you wind it outwards, so you start to notice when your hips open, your toes are pointing out towards the left side. And then from here, keep that winding action and allowing the muscles to support the joints as you open that leg out towards the left. And then grab your block or your cushion and give yourself a little bit of support. Yeah, so bring your hands a little bit lower down, and then you can bring your other hand onto your hip to counterbalance. So, and then relax the shoulders and just breathing into the inside of that left leg. Rolling that right hip back towards the floor. Squeeze the glutes a little bit. Sometimes a lot drifting away. And rolling tucking your pelvis under a little bit. So now you tuck the pelvis under. And do a little bit of opening. Breathing to that side. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to come back in. So we're going to start to really draw that big top of the thigh bone back into its socket, and then start to squeeze your inner thigh. As you squeeze your inner thigh to support that leg coming back up. Okay, and then we're going to exhale, bend that knee, and just gently mobilize here. Circling that knee a few times in one direction, back the other way. And once again, during or in between these poses, if you feel like some energy releasing or you need to shake it out, please feel free to do so, or you need to have a break. Okay, and then from here, we're going to inhale, exhale, hug that knee back in, and then we're going to come into inwards, diagonally across the body now. So from here, we're going to inhale, take that knee out. As you exhale, widen out through the hip, keep that left hip on the ground, and then we're going to exhale and start to wind inwards. As you start to wind that thigh inwards, you start to wind that leg across, or the thigh across the chest, and you can hug that knee as if we're reaching it towards our right armpit. So this is the same person one that I stood up for before. So it's kind of crossing it over and just widening through the hips. And so once you've supported, used your muscles to support your body into the right position, then you can start to soften there. And just breathing into it. You feel that subtle squeeze on the inner thigh through your groin. You might feel the stretch through your glutes as well here. Just keep deepening the breath. Once again, we don't want to come to the point of our full extension. If it feels like it's pulling or getting the shakes at any time, then come out of then release it a little bit. So if you feel like you're kind of shaking, then just take the knee a little bit away from the belly. Even use your strap if you wanted to. So just do that. And so we're drawing it across the body rather than up to the side for this one. Okay, and you have the option here as well to maybe come into your shoelace or Garuda leg. So with that knee kind of across the body, you slide your other knee up and it comes underneath the knee, and then you can maybe hug both knees in. And just breathing into the body. Softening with the breath. gently release. So we're going to slide that bottom leg out. And from here, once again, making sure that that hip is nice and secure in the socket. Just gently mobilizing. Circling the knee a few times in one direction. Back the other way. Inhale, exhale. Hug that knee in back in line with your shoulder. The hips. Inhale, push that knee, bring that knee out. Exhale, we're hugging it in towards our left armpit now. So keep widening out through your hip crease. And as you exhale, just softening. Melt that knee up at that thigh closer to your ribs. Deepen the breath. Ready, half happy baby. So sliding that left hand underneath the knee now and starting to flex your foot, extending it up towards the sky. Okay, so you can stay here, keep widening out through that hip, and then maybe winding it outwards again. So we're getting that knee out to the side a little bit more. And then you can hold on to the back of your knee, your calf, your ankle, your foot, and then just rocking it out here. So we're trying to stack the knee over, sorry, the heel over the knee, maybe pushing up to the two inner corners of your foot. Gentle rocking from side to side. Down, so just do what feels good. Other knee can be bent or let them straight. If you straighten that leg, you'll feel a lot more of a deeper stretch. Just breathing into it. Okay, let's start to bring that leg across. So we're going to start to squeeze the inner thigh to bring your leg across. And then holding onto the outside edge of your foot with your right hand. And then we're just going to hold onto the knee with the other hand. And so from here, it's gently rocking from side to side. And circling. And just opening that hip as you rock it from side to side. You might be able to take that foot, so it might be around your hip. You might be able to take that foot a little bit higher towards your belly. And so we're going to make circles, or you can rock it from side to side. You're bringing that, so you should obviously be bringing that foot a little bit higher up. Your hand might not be able to hold the knee, so you can just hold onto the shin or the cuff. And maybe bringing that foot a little bit higher up and trying to get up towards the chest or the face. Okay, let's start to slide the other foot up and bending the right knee if you had your leg straight. And then from here, we're just going to squeeze the glutes again and feel that winding action, winding out away from the body as we bring our legs into a letter number 4. Okay, I'm just hanging out here. So once you're in that position, you can just relax and breathe into it. Or if you want to work a little bit more actively, flexing that foot. As so tonight, because we're focusing on that safe movement and that using the muscles to support everything, because sometimes when we can just kind of just push that knee out, but because we're working on that awareness of the body to push that knee out. We don't want to just push the knee joint. We are squeezing the glutes and we are winding that thigh outwards. And as you wind that thigh outwards, you feel that helping to open it out. And then around your knee, you feel like you're winding your calf away from you outwards as well. And then you start to feel that you should feel that the knee is quite supported by all the surrounding muscles and still allowing you to get that external rotation and that everything in the hip and the knee feels good. If it doesn't, then release it a little bit. Okay, from here, let's come into so you can stay here and just relax. So if you're finding that this is quite a deep pose already in terms of opening that left hip, the option one is just to hang out here and just breathe into it for the next few minutes. Otherwise, maybe coming up a little bit more, and then you can engage that stretch in your glutes on that left side. So strap or no strap, I'm going to start to roll up. So rolling up to throat, and then bringing your left hand in between, right hand onto the outside, either using your strap, option one, behind the knee, hands behind the knee, or hand over the knee. Shoulders away from the ears, rolling up, nose to knee, and then lengthening shoulders, neck, and head back down. We're just going to hang out here. And so just breathing into it. Closing out the eyes and breathing into wherever you're feeling the stretch as you exhale, softening or maybe humming. So the breath is a really amazing breath, especially for our yin practice. Such a nice calming breath. Extends our exhalation as it brings nitric oxide into the body and the brain. So it just helps to engage that parasympathetic nervous system, as well as using that vibration of sound, loosen everything up. Softening the breath. As you soften, you might be able to bring that knee and thigh a little closer in. And keep winding that left knee out away from you. So if you're hugging that knee and thigh really close in like this, and the other foot's knee's kind of there, maybe you can start to wind it out so you're getting that hip opening as well as you bring the other foot in. And notice if your tailbone's tucked under, maybe roll the tailbone back towards the floor. Keep the spine nice and long. When you're ready, let's gently release that foot. Slide it out, release the other leg, and just come back into Shavasana. Shake everything out. A few moments here. Just breathing in, checking how you're feeling. And second to the other. Ready, let's gently wiggle the fingers, wriggle the toes. Let's come into our twist. So I'm just going to change sides so that I can see you guys, because I'm going to do a closed twist. So we're going to hug that left knee back in. And from here, we're going to take the left hand out. Cat's there. And I'm going to pop the hips to the left and grounding that left shoulder, taking hold of that left knee with your right hand. Inhale, and as you exhale, draw the belly in and gently move that knee across. And yes, you can have your block on next to your knee to support as well. Lengthening the spine, and as you exhale, just melting down. Eye gaze wherever's comfortable. Let's take a few deep grounding breaths here first. Wherever you're feeling the stretch, just breathing into it. Exhale. And then that's starting to think about the winding motion using that staircase visualization. So once again, depending on the direction of your head, if you're facing the same direction as your knees, your staircase, you're winding outwards away from the midline. And if your head is facing the opposite direction to your knee, then you're going to wind in towards the midline. So lengthening up from the base of the spine to the crown of the head, inhale. As you exhale from the crown of your head, you start coming down your staircase. Opening up through there. Well, actually, I won't cue because it could be on the other side of me. Keep the belly hugging into the spine to protect your spine as you twist. Okay, when you feel like you've come all the way, when you come all the way to the base of your spine, and you can't go any deeper, you're going to allow that left shoulder to lift. So option 1 is just take the palm facing up. Option 2, maybe take that hand up or bring your hand onto your lower back. Now you're pushing in this diagonal motion using the heel of your hand. So, and then from here, if your arm gaze is turned to the side, just maybe look to the sky. Otherwise, if you look to the sky, you're just turn your head out. So we're coming to a close twist. Inhale, as you exhale, you're just going to push that hip upwards. Keep lifting your hip crease up towards the sky. Your other hand is sliding up your thigh. And so you're helping yourself wind that across your back. So you should feel that lower in your lower back. And then getting a nice stretch there. And then getting that nice little adjustment. Maybe starting to roll that top thigh inwards. And we get that left knee all the way to touch the ground. When it's touched the ground, take another breath or two. And ready. And the next inhalation, hug the belly in and slowly inhale yourself back to center. Bring your feet in the middle and then just bring your hips into the middle. Lengthen the spine out, hug your left knee in, and then bring your right knee in to join it. Just gently mobilize here. Just reset the spine, rock yourself from side to side. Massage it out. And then just circle your knees a few times in one direction. Gently back the other way. Take the knees apart, circle them both in opposite directions. Ready? Just bring your feet back to the ground and then just gently mobilize this. The knees from one side to the other. Ready to slide the legs out from here if you want to shake it out. Otherwise, let's just come back into Shavasana for a few minutes before we come into our last baby. Just taking some nice deep breaths here. Once again, just check in with your body. And just being in your present witness space. So you're just gently observing, no judgment. Just breathing into the body and just noticing any subtle changes. Notice how you're feeling. Noticing still holding tension through any areas of your body. Try to soften through those areas, otherwise just observing the energy flows, breathing. Deep, full yogic breaths. Just breathing all the way down down through your legs and onto the feet and toes. Okay. Get too relaxed before our last pose, and then we'll come into final Shavasana. So when you're ready, just gently wiggle fingers and toes, any kind of movement here, stretching out, and then exhale, hug the knees in towards the chest. Maybe roll up here for a moment. Stretching out to the back of the neck again, and lengthening shoulders, we can head back down. Okay, from here, we're starting off with our knees in towards our belly. So we're going to take the knees out, inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to hug the knees into our armpits, like we did before, but we're doing that on both sides now. Okay, and widen out through your hip crease, and then maybe just rock a little bit from side to side. As you rock from side to side, just lengthening the lower back. Okay, and then from here, keep rolling your pelvis under. As you keep rolling your pelvis under, start to extend your feet to the sky. Okay, and then holding onto the backs of the knees now. Okay, and then from here, you can roll your pelvis back down if you like, otherwise, and stay here and rock from side to side. Otherwise, I'll be sliding your hands up your calves, up, and then opening the knees out a little bit more, and maybe coming into your baby here and holding onto the outside edges of your feet. So it's not about, oh, awesome, okay, awesome, okay, so from here, just gently rock from side to side. We should feel a really nice massage down to those hands on either side of the spine. Maybe extending out through the two inner corners of your feet, please. And so extending out through the two inner corners of the feet. Maybe coming into a half straddle or a full straddle. So you can squeeze the glutes and wind your leg outwards to maybe straighten one leg. And so if you've got your knee, you can kind of do it like that if you like. And then maybe the other side. Please move out of the way. Sorry, my cat's just. Let's look. All right. And maybe coming into a full straddle, bringing the legs out to the sides. And it feels good. And looking from side to side. And then bring the legs back in. Roll your tailbone back towards the floor. So sometimes the tailbone rolls under, rolling it back down. And bringing your feet together. Come into a butterfly, just gently rocking from side to side. Circling your feet in one direction, the other way. Maybe feeling a really nice massage through your back. And then when you're ready, just gently release the legs. And then from here, just bring your knees together, feet to the edges of your mat. Lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders, bring your hands to the sides of the hips. Okay, so I'm going to come into our final Shavasana for the night, just to finish the class. So from here, lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders, back of the neck is long, and just take a couple of breaths here into the body. And when you feel like this, you can keep the knees bent, and then very slowly, when you feel that your spine has settled, you can just slide the legs out and bring your whole body into a neutral position. So staying in your pose. Just making sure you're neat. Keeping the long shoulders are relaxed. So from this position, when you have your knees together, you can just, when you feel like everything's relaxed, you can just slide the legs back out. So just stay in your pose. And so back of the neck is long. The tongue and roof of the mouth. So have your feet just a little bit wider than hip width. Let your feet fall out to the side so the hips can relax. And hopefully the lower back feels really nice and relaxed from that sliding out with the knees bent. So you should feel comfortable. If you need more space, always feel free to keep the knees bent or tuck your tailbone under, lengthen the spine, widen the shoulders, collarbones. Slide your shoulders back down away from the ears into their sockets, and then resting the hands by the hips, turning the palms of the hands facing up, fingers slightly curled. Back of the neck is long. And tip of the tongue just gently resting on the roof of the mouth behind the two front teeth so the energy circuits are connected. Closing the eyes. And just deepening the breath. From here, feel free to relax in Shavasana for as long as you like. Otherwise, when you're ready, just gently starting to bring some movement in. You can just very slowly with the fingers and toes. Otherwise, just remaining still and continuing Shavasana. Any kind of gentle movements. So once again, this is all a suggestion. So just really listening to your body, do whatever feels good for you at this point in time. You might want to stretch out. You might want to hug the knees in or give yourself a little hug. You might want to rock from side to side or circle the knees. And when you're ready, very slowly bend your knees, bring your left hand underneath your head to create a pillow for your neck. And just slowly roll onto your left side just to get the heart rate back to normal after our Yin Shavasana. When you're ready, straighten the top leg, push into your top hand, and slowly support yourself to come back up into seated. So when you're ready, sit bones even. Lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders down away from the ears into their sockets. And then hands wherever's comfortable on your knees or in your lap. Keeping the spine long, tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Just taking a few nice deep grounding breaths here into the body. And just checking in with how you're feeling. Just allowing the breath and energy to return to normal with the spine nice and tall. And hopefully feeling a little bit more grounded, a little bit more relaxed than when we first began. And you feel like your breath and energy has returned to normal. And inhale, bring your hands into prayer at the heart. Just breathing into the heart space and sealing our practice here. When you're ready, you can think your eyes open, bowing our heads. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful evening. If you guys have questions or feedback, please let me know. Otherwise, enjoy and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.